Political analyst Scott Hughes here for another segment. Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, kid.
Scott, when we refer to Stephen Waguespack, Stephen said our new Constitution, if we get one, needs to change our power structure, where we now have a strong governor power state where other states do not. That's not how they operate, and that's part of our problem. Do you agree with that? And can that be done in a constitution?
It can only be done in the Constitutional Convention, what Stephen's talking about. To understand Louisiana, we are different. There are 50 states. 49 of them run on a very county municipal type approach, where the power is basically based at what we call the parish or the city level. Louisiana, because of our French roots, has what many call a feudal system. All the money goes to the king. It goes to the king's court, and you have to come and bow before the king if you want to get anything. And so when Louisiana was set up years ago, that's our structure. All power and money is invested in Baton Rouge. You have to go down and genuflect and bow before the king, which is the governor, and the legislature doles out the money, and we have this crazy system. Why do we send money to Baton Rouge to come back to district attorneys? Why do we send money to Baton Rouge to come back to sheriffs? That's money you collected here in the parish that can stay in the parish. You can. You can fundamentally change that. I'll give you a prime example. Our legislature has met all these times because of that power structure. Look at our neighbor to the west, Texas. They have a fundamentally different style of government. Now, Texas probably aligns with us a lot on social issues, on the right of law. A lot of things are similar between our states. But Texas has a system that's very much vested at the county level. The money is collected locally. It's made decided by locals, county judges, that they call them judges, the Railroad Commission. They have a different structure where the power stays local.
What is their legislature, like every 2 years?
Austin meets every 2 years.
Yeah.
And you don't see a problem in Texas. That's a whole different form of government. The problem is that under a constitution, you can't change everything. When a bill is filed, there's a rule called dual instrument. The courts will not let things get tied together. I can't agree to lower your taxes if you agree to let me have guns. You can't put those two together. They're called a dual instrument bill. I can have taxes together. I can have guns or civil rights together, but I can't start putting the bills together. And so the problem of trying to fix the Constitution one bill at a time becomes trust. You have to trust me that if you pass this bill today, tomorrow we'll pass the next piece of it, then the next piece, and the next piece. And there's no trust in Baton Rouge. And so a constitutional convention is basically having the courage to take the document out, to put it in the people's hands, is what Stephen and I agree with, and let the people decide we want a new form of government. We want a new way things work, the structure.
How do you build trust in government back, though? I mean, it seems like that's one of those things when the horse is out of the barn, you're not getting it back in.
Well, and that's where I would go back to the roots. And I started this before the break. I think you build trust by putting it back in the hands of the people. A constitutional convention you could do it a lot of ways. The way House Bill 500, the one I specifically commented on, was structured, and I think the one Stephen Waguespack is commenting on, you basically seat citizens. Average citizens run, they get elected, and there's different formulas, 3 from every Senate district, so many around. But you end up putting several hundred citizens together for a year, and they study every element. And again, 90% of the current Constitution will likely just be copied right back over. The things that we have fought and believe in as Louisianians. The part that we have a problem with, particularly taxation and how you spend, authorization of funding. That can be done, and other things can be done. And that's the challenge, that everything in the Constitution has a constituency. Everything was put there for a reason. So if you start trying to change one thing, somebody screams. Right now it's health care. We have letters going out to nursing homes because we're going to do X. And so many of us say, and I think Robert read my post earlier, it's time to give the legislature new tools. They can't get this problem solved with the tools we have. They need new tools.
Is it the tools? Is it the structure? Or in your lexicon, is that the same thing?
It's both. I mean, I don't want to comment in the legislature. I try to avoid criticizing, when they're in session.
Well, let's try something else. Can you prioritize? You said the way we tax, the way we distribute. If you had to prioritize maybe A, B, C, 1, 2, 3 as to what really needs to be changed in Louisiana, not necessarily how we do it, i.e. Baton Rouge versus power to the parishes, but like all the protected stuff and what would you, if there were 3 or 4, what's in the top of your mind?
Well, the three biggies I look at being sort of more of a constitutionalist, I look at separation of powers. Do you actually have three branches of government? I think we're starting to see that a little bit in Louisiana, but we have to get back to like most other states and where we have three branches of government, and we need a separate legislative and executive that have equal powers, not one where the governor is so powerful. It doesn't matter who the governor is. It's not a John Bell Edwards comment, but we've always had a history of strong governors. We need an equal branch of government where they can negotiate and work back and forth. Number two, I think we need to look at how we collect revenue and how we spend revenue. You mentioned what's called the statutory dedications, stat debts. When you have so much of your budget locked up, and that's a trust issue. Over the years, we the people have said we'll only agree to more money if you only spend it in this way. Well, that sounds good individually every time, but then you get down the road where you have 80% of the state budget locked up. They can't do anything. The people that we say balance the budget, prepare us services, they can only make changes in a couple areas, historically, healthcare and higher education.
There seems to be growing momentum, but does it really have a chance? Could this ever really, really happen?
Well, I think you're going to see. I think the people that put the bill out this time, there's several other bills that they're not going to get through this session. Sometimes this takes 2 or 3 years. And I think what you mentioned the right thing. You're seeing a growing momentum. You're seeing a coalition start to be put together. It will not get through this 18th session. They won't attempt it at the special session, I would guarantee. But I would not be surprised. I think what the people are doing is they're setting this up as a governor election deal. If you're going to run for the next legislature, these people that are out there that are saying we want this idea discussed, they want it discussed when you run for office. They want it to make it a priority when the next legislature comes in, and they want to make it a priority for what may be a new governor down the road.
So we got John Bell on tomorrow morning. If I ask him that question, what do you think he's going to say? Constitutional Convention, great idea, right? And he'll respond,
I'll be listening for the answer. Most governors in Louisiana have been very reluctant to give up any power, and the governor is a very powerful position. I'd be very interested in his answer.